So glad to see all of you here tonight. This is exciting. I'm Carla. I don't know if I've formally introduced myself. I've seen folks here and there. And we're going to be having a class tonight. And as usual, we're going to start with a meditation to kind of bring us all into the room and be present and focused. And when Sarah and I came into the room this afternoon, we found this piece of paper taped to the floor. And in talking with Mary Lou before the class, found out it was something that was given to her through a meditation. And I think it's going to tie in beautifully and give us a focus point for our meditation this evening. So we will get our butts in the chair, get comfortable. And then as we're taking in our inspiration and letting go of all the things through our expiration that may be distracting us today or troubling us today, we'll just let it go through that expiration. And Mary Lou, if you would share with us what
I'd be very happy to hear this with the family. This is a concept poem that I wrote for expiration and inspiration. Experience extra peace in releasing by breath all tension in and for our community of ones, nurturing family, the practice, expiration. Inspiration, inspire the new birth of spiritual breath, of potential and possibilities, in receiving and returning always thankfully and truthfully, and in for our community of ones, nurturing family, the practice.
That's beautiful. So why don't we think about that as we're doing our inspiration and our expiration? I love the idea of new birth. We're birthing a community, we're birthing a family, we're birthing healing, we're birthing love. And we're letting go with each expiration of that which no longer serves us or the world. So we'll take a big inspiration in. And we'll release with the expiration. It's okay to let go of those things that we've had attachments to, feelings, ideas, attitudes, behaviors. If they no longer serve us, it's okay to let that go. Inspiration. And expiration. Let's go as deeply as we can with the inspiration, breathing in that new birth, that renewal. And savor it for a moment. And then release all that does not serve. And we'll just continue in this fashion. Let's do a review. Why not? That reading from last week was so appropriate. Try to stare at the night sky universe and accept it on its terms. Be ready to see not only what is apparent to your eyes, but also that which is hidden and far beyond your comprehension. Be open to messages and truths that come from a place you and I cannot fathom, describe, or understand. And speaking of that which is hidden, let's all say a big hello to Keith, wherever he may be.
That's right.
Energetically, he's here. Physically, he is with his family. So, hi, we're here. So remembering that we don't judge ourselves, we honor where we are in the now, we treat ourselves lovingly and compassionately as we speak honestly, we speak our truth, we come from the heart, we share what's on our hearts without judgment. Some of the focus points. Stepping back to observe our collective healings in the chamber of love provides a strong representation of unity. We have demonstrations of open healing and blocked efforts, and all are honest, good, and necessary. We can accept how all of these experiences are wonderful examples of life and the many important transformations and evolutionary stages that occur in it. What were some of the experiences folks had with the chamber last week? Whether you were in the center of it or within its walls, creating that healing space.
There was, I felt last week especially, there was a higher level of love and healing going through as a family to those that need it, not only here, but across the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially doing our first distance healing.
Yes.
Anybody else care to share?
I can't wait to see what Keith's brother looks like. Because I had this visual, and I can't even describe what it was, but I really felt like we were connecting with him. He may not have even been aware of it, and maybe if he was aware of it, it might not be a good thing at that point, but I had a visual, so I hope he comes someday so I can see if I was like, right.
Yeah.
Or close.
No.
Because I really felt like he was here.
And he was. And he was. You know, energy and healing and love, it's not bound by location or time. Walls don't block it. Space doesn't block it. It's everywhere all the time. And that's why it's so powerful, because we're joining all of our energies to put that out there, and it just amplifies it. So yeah, he was here, and he got what he needed in that moment. And don't forget, it's for all of us too. Anybody else? I want to welcome who's here for the first time tonight. Welcome. Do you guys have the book? You will have one tonight before you leave. Yes.
And Susan, are you new?
Yes.
Susan's here too.
Yes, downstairs. Yes. Welcome. Welcome. You got the book, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so for you family that are here for the first time tonight, we're uploading the class on a live feed on Facebook, and come see me and we'll give you the information on how to get to that. And the video will also be up on YouTube within a day or two. And I'll give you the information for that. And it's really pretty helpful and amazing to go back over and watch the prior classes, and that way also you'll be able to go through and watch the prior classes at your leisure.
So we could start at the beginning
Yep.
then. Oh, good,
Yep.
thank you.
And let me get your names and your emails, and I can, my name is Sarah. I do pretty much kind of like the organizational components of the practice classes, and I can just go ahead, we have study materials, you know, we've kind of created like class literature. We have someone who so graciously volunteers to transcribe the notes from the classes, and then we also generate these little study guides for just more like contemplative, thought-provoking
Where do you get those
exercises.
papers at?
Those I can actually email you. So I just, at the end of the class, you know, come see me. I can go ahead and grab your emails and then send those out. We've had, this is the 8th class.
This will be the 8th one.
Yes, so we have, you know, we'll have a bunch of notes, a bunch of study guides for you. This class actually, we hope everyone brought their listening ears. Right now we're, you know, it'll take a little bit of time for the notes to be transcribed. Since Marisa, who does the notes, she actually is spending time with her family and just resting. So Carla and I are going to do that, and it takes like a solid like 6-7 hours to get everything done. Yeah, so I mean it really shows how much dedication and generosity Marisa has. So we'll get that out since we don't have class next week, which is a good reminder. We're not having class next week. We'll have a little extra time to get that out to everyone. So, you know, when you're enjoying your 4th of July week, then you can check out the notes when they get to you. And if you have any questions, you know, see me. We will get you a book after the class. And, you know, you can tell we're kind of new to this class too.
How long have you had this class?
We started beginning of May. I think it was May 3rd. Every Tuesday, 6:30 up until 7:30. And our dear Keith Jordan is the
Oh, so you just started
initiate.
last month?
Yes, we have had classes in the past prior to this year. When the book first came through him, he had a year long of classes each month, and that was in 2013. And I attended most of those. Those are available on YouTube in terms of those being videotaped. This is more of an interactive discussion. Before it was more like, you know, there were seated rows, people were listening to him lecture. This is more dynamic in terms of people coming together and really sharing the practice. So, welcome. Welcome.
And thank you for that reminder. We are not meeting next week as the 4th of July. We'll be back the week after. But you will still be getting the notes and the study guide. So,
Study guide first.
yes. You'll have that by tomorrow or Thursday.
Yeah.
I have to stay here. In the center of the room.
She's in the chamber already.
Yeah. Back to you, Sarah. No. I'm so glad you guys got that. All right. Laughter is good. Laughter is healing, which is a good thing because I cause it a lot. So Sarah was talking about this.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you for taking over with that tonight.
Yes, thank
All right.
you.
Let's get down to business here. Sarah, you brought up a good point that this is designed and it's continuing to transform into an interactive. And so the second focus point, it's time to leave behind the role of passive receiver of healing and step into the place of active participant of the practice. It's time to become leaders. It's all well and good, and we start in a place of coming to a place to be healed. And then at some point, it's even more powerful if we take that responsibility for our own healing. Our bodies know what they need. Our spirits know what we need, otherwise we wouldn't be guided to be here. And it's a question of learning to tap into that and to trust it, to trust our guts. And we're moving there, we're getting there. It's already all around us, we just have to go in and step into it and claim it. And I see that in all the faces that are here week after week, the new people that keep coming in, the people that are watching this live, the people that are going to be tuning into YouTube. it's what we need as individuals, and it's what the world needs. The world needs people that are going to actively heal themselves, and when we start healing ourselves, that's when it goes out into the world. We have to start within ourselves.
That's what we're doing it for.
Yes.
We're not coming here for us. It can start out that way, and that can really get the momentum going, because when you thoroughly embed yourself in the practice and you're doing it just because you know that's what's best, you do it for others. And then you get to a point where you're just doing it for yourself because that's what you see.
Yes.
So
And it starts with that taking responsibility for taking care of our physical bodies and our emotional needs and our spiritual needs. We can't carry any healing to anyone if we're not taking care of ourselves. We have to have a good solid foundation. And it doesn't mean that we have to be completely healed and, you know, we're out running marathons. But if we're in that healing process and we're doing our very best every single day, that's all that's required. It's in the striving. And I do firmly believe we are each of us doing the very best that we can wherever we are at. And that's why it's so important to just be lovingly compassionate and accepting of ourselves and of everyone we come in contact with. I've really been practicing, you know, the person that cuts me off, or the person that almost drove me off the road the other day. That was fun. But I look at them and I've been thinking to myself, you know what, that person's doing the very best that they can, and thank you, God, that it didn't involve crashing into me. That's always a good thing. But, you know, I've been practicing doing that, the person in line at the store. The person in Starbucks when I'm trying to get the magic elixir of life that is coffee, who's not quite sure what they want. And normally I'd have just been seething. And now, you know, everyone's doing the best that they can. What am I off in a hurry to do? Just be here in the moment, whatever that moment is. And if I don't like how it's feeling, then I can change my attitude. I can take responsibility for that. Have you guys noticed any changes? Are you stepping into a place of more active, taking charge in your life? Yeah.
I'm a real potty mouth in the car.
I accept that lovingly.
I am, and I haven't gotten to the point yet where I have been able to stop it ahead of time and stop getting angry. But I am at the point where I get angry and then I pull myself back really quickly and I say, Kat, they're doing what they can, I'm doing what I can. They didn't intend to almost drive you off the road. And usually the anger dissipates. Maybe one or two bad words come out before I get a handle on it. But that's different for me because until my son was, when my son was in the car and young, I was under control. But then as soon as he wasn't in my car anymore, it was like I was crazy. And so, and I find that people at work have asked me if I've done something to myself, and I'm finding them a lot easier to get along with. And I have a different energy about me.
And you know, that's a big part of how, even when we begin on ourselves, how it impacts the world, because people are noticing the change. You are attracting them.
And the funny thing is, you think they changed, but they didn't really change. We both changed together. It's because I don't have words for it yet.
Can I offer something? Because somebody gave me some advice years ago about the driving part. And instead of giving them the finger or the potty mouth or whatever, blow them a kiss.
What a good idea.
It is fantastic. Because just the mental image of you blowing a kiss to them makes you smile and makes them wonder, what in the hell is their problem? You know, because they're not expecting that. They're expecting when the arm is going to move that you're going to give them the finger. But you're not. You're blowing them a kiss.
Can I add something to that? With driving, it's the same thing talking to another person and they're cussing you out. And instead of you getting back and doing the same thing back, you do just what she said to them. And then they'll look at you and think, well,
What was that all about?
yeah. But it's, you're loving them, and it changes.
And I would even argue that, you know, what Keith talks about and what we've been saying here is that, you know, the changes we make, the energy we put out, it extends into the world. And, you know, people may not even know that, and you had made the comment that the other person changes along with you. I had an experience where I took a meditation course, and for 2 hours we would just sit and meditate, and I'm a horrible meditator, but this group was fantastic, and the facilitator, she would make me feel like a 1,000-pound rock, and so she would get us into that state, and then she would, you know, like open up this cosmic soup bowl of love, and you just, you know, see that love swirling around, you know, feel it swirling around, and then she said, pick one person in your life and throw them into that soup bowl of love, and so that they're swirling around in the love. And I thought about all the people in my life, you know, my nieces, my nephews, my brothers, my sisters, and this woman from work popped into my head. And this woman is someone who, for years, just like tormented me. It's like, you know, constant emails all day long, you know, backstabbing, you know, like one thing after another. She was upwardly ambitious, and she would step on anybody to get there, was my impression. And she, you know, like, I didn't want to be a part of it. I felt a victim to it. And her face came into my mind, and I think it was just the thought of being able to throw her someplace into that school. And the very next, I almost quit my job over this person. And the very next day, I come into work, and there was an email in my inbox, and it was actually, you know, feedback for Denise. And she sent it to my boss, and she copied me. And in it, she said, I don't know what happened to Denise, but there's a real maturity, you know, that I've seen in her. She's really changed, yada, yada. I had no interaction with her between that evening. She lives in a different city. It's not like there was any interaction whatsoever. And our relationship has been much better ever since. And I have you know, someone else in my life recently, this happened, you know, several years ago. And, you know, I have very few people that I have that, you know, kind of butting up with. And this particular person, I was butting up with them, and I was just so frustrated. And just, you know, we got on the phone, and I'm not a person who gets really upset or, you know, like confrontational and stuff like that. And he started yelling at me on the phone. So I said, you know, I'm willing to have a, you know, a conversation with you about this, but if you're going to yell, I'm going to yell back. Well, of course, he kept yelling, so I yelled back. And, you know, it just turned into a shouting match, which of course got nowhere. We ended up hanging up on the phone on each other, and I was just so frustrated. I'm like, I have to do something different here. And so I just sat down, and I tried to get back to that place of grounding and feeling that love inside of me. And I just, you know, like tried, you know, like I remember doing a meditation once where there was a candle, and I would squint my eyes in such a way that I would feel the rays coming at me. And then there was a point in time where I felt that ray like going into my chest and like starting a flame inside my heart kind of thing. And, you know, like I knew that I could feel that love, you know, and if I could build that love inside of me, and just the same way that that candle did to project it out to him. And that's what I did. And within 2 days, he called and apologized to me for, you know, and this person is not a person to, you know, do that at all.
Wow.
And so there's just things that you think that your thoughts don't have consequences, your negative ones as well as your positive ones. If you're thinking something negative, it's creating negativity. If you're thinking something positive, if you're feeling love, if you just want to, you know, like we talk about, you know, sending those positive energies to people, to me, it works. You can do that. And I'm not a person, like last week we were talking about, you know, being blocked and not feeling energy and stuff like that. I don't think that I'm one of those people that feels energy all the time and stuff. And still, you know, like I have these experiences in my life, and I've noticed a big difference in coming to it in my life.
That's wonderful, and you know, it speaks to the fact that in life, what we focus on increases. It gets bigger.
There's I don't know, the book about the water and how, you know, the different music on the water
Emoto.
changes.
Emoto.
Yeah. But then there's also something in physics where it just, you know, like focusing on an atom changed our focus.
Observing.
Just observing
Yeah.
it changed.
We're
it.
witnesses,
Right,
you know,
right.
and in that.
But there was something about
The
intention.
quantum, the particle wave effect.
I don't understand that. I have to talk to you, Tim.
And if you want to know more about that, Deepak Chopra
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
did a lot of focusing on that. And It's very interesting, but you need to listen to it 5,000 times before you get it. But, I used to drive from Vermillion to downtown Cleveland, and it was on a cassette tape. And so I did listen to it thousands of times. But it's quantum physics and the fact that we're all energy, and we can understand that other energy if we take the time to do it.
I think to me that somehow plays into what I experience.
Oh, sure it does.
And, and I don't quite get the connections or understand physics and stuff like that, but to me there's a connection between, like feeling a certain way about something and actually being able to change
Well,
it.
your body is energy. And the quantum physics, we don't talk about that, nobody teaches you about that. But you're all energy, and so it's kind of having an electrical circuit that is not functioning right if it's negative. And if you take that into a positive mode, the energy flows better and it goes out into the world.
Thank you.
Don't make it complicated.
Especially quantum physics.
It's amazing too that you don't have to have the intellectual IQ. You're not educated in it, but yet you felt it, and that's really what counts. That's amazing.
And what we've had here in the last few minutes is a perfect example of that last focus point, which is we are teachers as well as students of the practice in the class and in life. And it just played out here, so that's a beautiful thing. Living life from the reality of the night sky means that we allow all moments, which are infinite, to touch us intimately. These moments are the presence of God. They are God being intimate with us. Eventually, we learn to become aware of how these unseen forces move and shift, what kinds of patterns they have, what kind of order and purpose. We sit in life's classroom and study. Eventually, we become comfortable with the unseen and the infinite and the unknown forms it may take. Leave behind the perceptions of the world that you were so sure of when you were not as conscious. So with the reflection questions, what can I do right now to become an agent of change and healing for myself and the world?
Mine was to find my block. And for me, something I can do on a daily basis is use affirmations. And so I'm going back through all the readings, and with some of the healings, or even with just things Keith says, I turn them into affirmations, and so that I have all positive statements.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
I think too, practicing, like the experience I had, just, like practicing it and feeling that love and sending it out to them.
It's interesting what came to me as you were talking about putting them in the swirling love is I had this image of, what changes would take place if I took the chamber of love that we create here out into the world and visualize putting people, situations, like what's going on in Europe right now, the Republican National Convention coming here, all these world frictions. How would it be if I took that chamber of love out with me and focused on putting all of that, or even the person in front of me in the store, just put them in that chamber and just love them. Love the situation, love the strife that's going on, and see what change happens in the world. And what if we all did that? What if we all made that effort? I think we're talking about healing and energy and love, and I think it's necessary and wonderful and important that we make the chamber here. And I think it would be every bit as powerful and effective if we take it into our lives in a spiritual, meditative way. That was something that came up really strongly for me when you were sharing.
And do you believe, like, loving the strife? So, like, in this relationship with this woman at work, it wasn't about loving the tension we had between us. It was loving her directly. And so,
Her essence.
yeah. And so, when we talk about loving the strife that's in the world, how do we make that change if it's about loving the people who are causing the strife, as opposed to, or what we would judge as being strife? How do we do that without loving the strife? And so, would be my question.
loving the strife into balance. Looking at it as this is an opportunity, this is a tension, this is energy going in opposite directions. And where is the gift in it for me? Where is the gift in it for the world? Where are the gems? To me, the gems are in the moment. And so instead of shying away from thinking about it and worrying about it, like I'm not going to think about that. Can I leave town for that weekend? You know, it's like I'm not going there, but instead looking at it and loving that situation into balance. You know, where's the I'm having these uncomfortable feelings about a situation at home, a situation with friends, a situation in Europe, whatever the case may be. I'm having troubling feelings. Where's the opportunity for me to practice?
And they don't have the balance.
Right.
They don't have the balance, so they're not in balance. And so to bring the positive, like a couple weeks ago, in meditation, I had hearts of love circling the whole world when we did a little meditation. So it's to send the love to their essence to change the unbalance to be balanced. And then
So that works for me, because it's not about loving the imbalance.
Right. No,
It's about loving their
Right.
essence.
right, their
And-
essence.
And, you know, making, and wanting them to be as balanced.
Right,
as they
because they're not in balance. They're acting, like we would say, irrational, but because they're not in balance. And so the more love and energy, healing energy and light we can put out there, the vibrations raise to a level. Like there have been studies, like Keith had mentioned it too, where like in cities of high crime, when a lot of meditation went for better balance and healing and light, crime rate dropped. So that energy that we're putting out as a family, not only here, but brothers and sisters that are all over the world, just think, just so focusing on the essence to bring the balance back to where it needs to be.
With the intention of the highest good.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Without judging.
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, that's what, yes, and I like that because without judging, we can't judge ourselves because that is our perception, that we're putting all these perceptions and getting it where we're blowing it out of proportion. Where we would surrender it all and give in to it in a loving way, not feeding into it, but giving it, surrendering into it, and getting that vibration back in the breath of breathing and being still and saying, peace, be still. I find that if I do that, because I will judge things in my mind, and I said, oh no, so it's a cancel. Because that's really not true.
Cancel, delete.
Yeah,
Okay.
cancel.
But you know, there's something that's coming to mind, and I think it was on Keith's original CDs that he did a number of years ago, where he was talking about a patient of his who had a tumor, and he recommended to that patient that she love the tumor because the tumor didn't have any love, and it went away. And that's one of the things that I experienced in the chamber last week, because I had this pinching, twinging in my arm, that I'm giving it Reiki, but I'm also giving it love and joy. And it's getting better. But the thing is that the same thing, you're loving the strife, you're loving the tumor, but not directly. You're giving it what it doesn't have, and that's the balance. So, yeah, but that came to mind because it's from Keith, and I'm trying to remember where, but I think it was those original CDs.
And it was when he was talking about cancer, and cancer cells are cells that are trying to be something more than what they are, which would mean that we ourselves don't think that we're enough. And that was something, I don't know if it was this past week's chamber or the week before, that was a big thing. It's like, we are enough, each and every one of us. We are good enough. We don't have to be anyone or anything other than who we are, because we're all from the same place. We're all of God. We're all
That
of
was
love.
coming
So,
up with me when we were talking about the strife. It's like, but, okay, so the non-judgmental, but then also, and not wanting to love the strife, but then it's also about, I just blanked on what I was thinking, sorry. So, let me see. But then, like, everything is perfect the way it is. And so like, how do you reconcile those things? You know, if the cancer's perfect the way it is, if we're perfect the way that we are, I know that there's something there that's, you know, about, you know, like the cancer trying to be more than what it is. And
So if it's perfect the way it is, there's no more need for it to grow and compromise the body.
Right.
It can get smaller and smaller, it can get right-sized.
I think that kind of demonstrates anything that can be perceived as negative or strife or imbalance. It's just a catalyst for learning, evolving, you know, to further love.
and that's where it's perfect, the way
Yeah,
it is.
exactly.
Right.
There was a great visual last week, I don't know if any of you saw it, but there were some funerals going on for the people in Orlando who had been killed. And the Westboro Church, which is not the most loving church in the world, was picketing, saying faggots deserve to die, and just horrible, horrible things. And this woman made these enormous angel wings out of sheets. And everyone stood with these angel wings, and the way I saw it is they were channeling love into that hatred, and they were there was physical blocks, so the people who were mourning and the people who had lost family members didn't have to see the signs, but it was a way of putting love in between that strife and what was true. It was an amazing visual, because that's, you know, if you treat everything with love. It didn't change the people who were so hateful, and I don't know what will change them. I've been working on it myself.
lifetimes.
I've been thinking love all the time towards them. It's hard.